Mr. Chairman, you've done a terrific job with these hearings. I think everybody's had their say, and I appreciate that. I want to make 3, maybe 4 quick points. Number one, there are, of course, 2 issues before the Senate. The first is, should we affirm or should we not affirm Neil Gorsuch to be an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court? But there's an equally important second issue, and that is, should we get to vote at all? Now, the first issue is pretty straightforward. Either vote yes or no. And of course, this won't be a unanimous decision. Sometimes reasonable people disagree. Sometimes unreasonable people disagree. But we all have our personal beliefs, and as members of Congress, we're allowed to vote them, and we're all from different states, and this is a diverse union, and I think everybody understands that and appreciates that. But the second question, should we get to vote at all, is just as important, if not more important, than the first question. Now, everyone here has the right to filibuster. And our friends who happen to be Democrats have the right to filibuster and prevent us from taking a vote. It will be a first. There has never been a Supreme Court nominee by either a Democratic president or a Republican president who has been filibustered to death for partisan reasons in the history of the United States Senate or in the history of the United States. And there's a reason for that. It's because nominations to the United States Supreme Court are different from bills. And they should remain different. And my friend Senator Durbin, I was listening carefully, he talked about this process becoming like the movie Casablanca. You filibuster this nomination to death, and it'll turn to the movie The Hateful Eight. Or if you allow the partisanship on the legislative side to bleed over to the Supreme Court side, it'll at least become a Quentin Tarantino version of Groundhog Day. And I don't think that's what the American people want. And I don't think that's what they deserve. Point 2. Judge Gorsuch has been accused of having an agenda. Look, I'm not buying it. I didn't read all 2,700 opinions, but I read about 20, and I looked for an agenda because I don't want a politician on the United States Supreme Court. I don't want somebody blinded by ideology. I want a judge. I read at least 20 of his opinions, and I'll tell you what I saw. I saw the same thing over and over and over again. I'm going to read you 2 sentences from A.M. v. Holmes, where, by the way, he voted against a police officer. Not for, he voted against a police officer who arrested a 13-year-old 7th grader for fake burping in class. Judge Gorsuch said, I don't think you need to arrest him. Maybe discipline him, but don't arrest him. The majority said, oh, it's okay, he can be arrested and the police officer has qualified immunity. Judge Gorsuch said that's a bridge too far. And in dissenting, this is what he said. And you see this language time and time and time again. Quote, often the law can be an ass, an idiot. He's quoting Charles Dickens. And there is little we judges can do about it. For it is or should be emphatically our job to apply, not rewrite, the law enacted by the people's representatives. Indeed, a judge who likes every result he reaches is very likely a bad judge. reaching for results he prefers rather than those the law compels. Now that, my colleagues, is not an agenda. That's a judge. Point 3. Some have criticized Judge Gorsuch for voting for the big guy or the big gal, whatever that is. Here's a commitment, Mr. Chairman, I'll make to you and to God and country. As long as I'm on the Judiciary Committee, if this president or any president ever nominates someone to serve in the federal judiciary who says that he or she will be influenced by the wealth or the power or the status of the parties, I will vote against them. And you can take that home to mama every single time. Because the wealth and the status and the power of the parties should have absolutely nothing to do with who wins a case. Point 3. Judge Gorsuch has been criticized for not telling us what his position is on abortion. And he's been criticized for not telling us what his position is on gun control. And he's been criticized for not telling us what his position is on the 8th Amendment or the 10th Amendment or the 9th Amendment. And he's guilty. He can't. He would violate his oath of office. He would violate the oath of office he took to be on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, and he'd violate his oath of office that he's going to take when he becomes an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Look, here it is. Canon 3A6 of the Code of Conduct for United States Judges. It says, quote, a judge shall not make public comment on the merits of a matter pending or impending in any court. Here it is, Rule 210B of the American Bar Association Model Code of Judicial Conduct. Quote, a judge shall not, in connection with cases, controversies, or issues that are likely to come before the court, make pledges, promises, or commitments that are inconsistent with the impartial performance of the adjudicative duties of the judicial office. Criticize him for what you want, but don't criticize him for what he can't do, for violating his oath. Mr. Chairman, we're all entitled to our opinions. That's what's great about America. I've been around a lot of smart people, some of whom I met in the last 90 days. But this man is a thoroughbred. He's a legal rock star as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to vote for him enthusiastically. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.